Julien, my friend, there you are in Paris. It's the evening. How are you? How's Paris? How's life?
Good morning, Max. Life is good. I have a little bit of a cold. You may be able to tell from my incredibly sexy voice today. But except for that, no, doing good. That's why I decided to pick the therapy seat. I mean, the doctor's seat instead of the therapy couch, because I feel you have stories and like don't necessarily have anything this week. So, how do you feel?
I I I feel fine. I I need some help thinking something through. So I think it would
Let,
be a very good thing to do on the couch.
let me just consult my crystal ball for a second. That must be a travel story.
How did you know? You,
All
you,
right.
you are clearly a genius.
You're making us travel all the time. It's like traveling the world with Max Ball. There should be another vlog we need to do around this.
Yeah,
But I'm all
yeah.
ears. Please,
All right.
please take the
Okay.
couch and tell me.
So it's actually pretty quick, but it so on a trip, and there's now a class of service on airlines called premium economy. And I booked this flight on premium economy. And, it's not business class with a big lay flat seats and all that wonderful stuff, but it's a little more room, and I'm big enough that it helps, and you get the little bar to put your feet on, and it makes a difference. And when I booked my itinerary, some of the seats, and this is international, so 10-12 hour flight, it matters. But when I booked it, there was a note saying some of these flights don't have premium economy specific seats. So then I went to book the seats, and they were just kind of in the middle, and they really looked kind of like coach to me. And I'm kind of like, all right, I think I better talk to somebody so I can understand this a little better. And they were more on the return flight than on the flight out. And of course, between the time I started to do this and actually got a hold of somebody, the return flight was going to be changed anyway. So by the time I was calling them, I probably shouldn't have even been worrying about or thinking about that. But so I called the airline and got on, and it said, "Hello, thank you for calling. Press this, press that. Thank you. We're very busy right now. We can't talk to you. Goodbye." Click. I got that 5 times over the course of a week. And I finally got to the point where I got through. And the agent on the phone, and ironically, without a lot of wait time. So either I got really, really lucky, or the way they're doing queue management is pretty god awful. And then I got the agent, and I said, I'm trying to check and see. I have premium economy, and I'm not sure these seats are premium economy. So I wanted to understand that. And he said, "No, it's a class of service. You have premium economy seats. Why, what do you need?" I'm like, "Well, I just want to understand, are these really premium economy seats?" And he's like, "Why are you asking that?" And I'm like, can you just help me and not
Because I'm paying
criticize
for
me?
it.
Yeah. And he's like, "No, these are economy class sections. You're fine." And one of them was like, the seat number was 60, the row number was 68. So I was kind of like, the one where it says 68, I'm really not very comfortable that this is a premium. It's a double decker plane. It's fine. It's just very curt, very rude. And I was just kind of like, "Okay, so what you're telling me is these are both really premium economy seats and everything's fine." He's like, "Yes, absolutely." I'm like, "Okay." So I just hung up. I would have stomped out of the room if there was a way to stomp out of a room. And I just was very, Then I stopped and I realized the flight that said, there isn't a premium cabin was the return flight, which I wasn't calling about. Um, so I realized I was asking a phenomenally stupid question. And if I had said, if he said, well, why are you, what's your question or concern? If I said, well, I've seen things that said some flights don't have premium economy. And that was really the reason I was calling, was just to confirm this really is a premium economy section. And he outright said that. But because he was so gruff and I was so put off, I just kind of didn't hear it. So, I mean, this was abjectly a bad customer experience on a couple of levels. It was so hard to get through, was ridiculous and inexcusable. The person's tone was undefensible. But literally, when I stepped back and thought about it, my question was a non sequitur. It just was like, hey, this seat in premium class, is it premium class? And I kind of understood when I stepped back and thought about it, I'm kind of like, I wonder if I just was asking such a confusing question that it threw him off. So that's right. Kind of my conundrum is there a lot to blame, but I feel like there were some things here I did that were kind of not so smart or not so great.
So, we sometimes say the customer is always right, and I definitely don't believe that is the case.
Right. Right.
But when the customer is demanding crazy thing, when the customer is yelling at you, when the customer is being absolutely unreasonable, the customer is probably not right. But whatever question, however dumb the question may be, and we'll get to this in a second, I really don't believe that was a dumb question, by the way. But assuming that had been a dumb question, they're still customers, and you're not buying spoons here. You're buying a plane ticket, and you said it was an international one, which I assume was not cheap. So the very minimum thing you can do is try to understand the question, try to be pleasant over the phone, and try to bring some level of answer, if not even confidence and appeasement to your customer. So no, the whole thing is wrong from beginning to end. Ultimately, I'm still a bit confused here. Ultimately, that was a premium economy seat that you booked?
Yes,
or was
it was.
Still not cheap?
It was that both seats were. Now, interestingly, when I got on the second flight, which is the one where I was in row 60 something, 80 something, whatever it was, I was no longer in that row. I was in row 26 or something like that. And it was, it was a premium economy seat. And I, took the time. The premium economy, there's 8 seats across, and regular economy, there's 9. So, there's 8/9 more or whatever. There's a small percent more room, and it means a lot. So it was
but that was the right answer. I mean, the right answer would have been, I understand your concern. You're paying extra money to get premium economy, so you are wondering whether it's premium economy because you are paying some extra to get something extra. So that's a very fair question. So the right answer should have been, yeah, you actually, with that specific seat you're mentioning, you're getting 10% more space. Maybe there is another complimentary drink, or you get priority to get your food, or whatever it is. And maybe there is very little, which would be surprising, because usually for international flights, you get a tad more than you get for local flights, for obvious reasons. But the right answer would just have been to make you feel better about it, try to understand why this is a concern to you, and reassure you, even though it's pretty obvious why this is a concern to you. You're paying a premium. You want to make sure that you're not paying to get the exact same thing as everyone else. Otherwise, why paying a premium in the first place? Right. So if we break that story down a little, really, I think you said it already. There are 2 major issues. The customer service agent being rude, totally not acceptable. Now, he's a human, so maybe he had a bad day, maybe you've been very unlucky, but as a professional, I mean, I'm in marketing. Marketing is all about, making plans and structuring things. If I can't think straight, then I don't go to work because it's just going to be a waste of everyone. If
Right,
you're a
right.
customer service agent and you're in a very bad mood and you can't talk right to people, then stay home for the day. That's understandable. If you can't perform your job. So either he was in a bad day and probably should have done something about it, or it's just a complete, I don't have any nice word to say here. So he's just not the right person for the job. And I really hope his supervisor was listening to the conversation and something's going to happen about him. But that's all about training and people management here. Totally not acceptable. I'm actually surprised you didn't ask to talk to a manager. You didn't get, this kind of surveys where you can actually let it go and tell
Really?
your side of the story. So that's one thing. But the other thing is incredibly weird. I have a hard time understanding how in 2023, with everything about AI, everything about IVRs are not new. They've been around for quite a few decades now. How can you not have a basic IVR with a basic queue? How can you not have a system that puts you on hold or tell you how long you're going to be waiting? How is it still possible? We're talking about an airline, not a local grocery store. How can they not have a proper queuing system? Is beyond me. And you have not talked about it, but I'm very surprised you called over and over for a period of 5 days. Did they not offer any live chat or messaging alternative? Again, 2023. That's not a story from
It,
the 80s, right?
no, it's not. It's not. I don't think they had premium economy in the 80s, so I can prove it. Um, I looked online. It's possible they had it and I didn't see it, but it was certainly well hidden. If they have any kind of online chat or digital, I didn't, and it's another, this is not an airline I fly on a regular basis. So I'm not about to download their mobile app. Um, and, I didn't think to look for them in WhatsApp or something like that. That might have been something to try. But there was no apparent and easy to find
It's
digital
not
interaction.
straightforward. So,
Right.
I mean, whether they have it or not, if it's not straightforward,
It's
then
a fail at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fail in any case. I
And
don't
and
think there's any.
what about callback for criminy sakes? I mean, that's such an easy thing to do. And I would have waited 2-3 hours for a callback. I wouldn't have cared. I was home.
Yeah, I know callback is a big thing. I'm personally not a big fan because, well, it's definitely much better than holding the line for an hour. I'm not a big fan simply because they will always call me at the time I'm cooking or going to toilets or
Yeah.
driving my car or whatever. It's never convenient, but it's still better. But
And
again,
anything to get out of cleaning the toilet. I mean, let's be frank.
but yeah, I mean, ultimately, just hanging up on you, saying call back later is not an option. It has never been an option.
No.
And
Even in the
2023.
80s, you couldn't get away with that.
So apparently, that's just an airline that doesn't want to talk to its customers. So maybe just one last question on this: Is it a, what do you call it? A low cost
No.
airline?
No. This
Because
is
I would,
a
EasyJet or Ryanair or this kind
no,
of thing.
this is
You
not a
paying.
Frontier Airlines. This is not a discount airline. This is a traditional old school
Then
airline.
this is unacceptable because from a low-cost airline, a discount airline, as you say, I would understand it. That not that is a good customer experience, but you know that you have to sacrifice something to get your price so much lower. So it's understandable. Here is absolutely not understandable. And as a
Right.
premium, I mean, you're not business, you're not first class, but you're premium, right? So there is something they don't treat you any better. Like, actually, not like they should treat economy people as bad anyway. But yeah,
But
bad
yeah,
experience
I
all
mean,
over.
well, that's good.
Right?
You make me feel a little better. You make me, I really started to feel like, gosh, am I just being so
No, definitely
stupid that
not.
this is my fault? But you're right. I'm a customer. I can be as stupid as I want. That's my right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, there are some guardrails here. You cannot be yelling, you cannot be insulting, you cannot be demanding crazy stuff. But here you're just asking a question. I mean, this guy's job is to answer questions. If he can't be bothered answering questions, then what is his purpose in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. As we're talking here, the thing that keeps coming into my mind is just insane lack of empathy.
Exactly. So we're back to there's probably a little bit about culture. There is definitely something about training. There is absolutely something about hiring, and there is something also about supervision. When you get to call centers and contact centers in general, there is some level of supervision where the manager is going to be listening to some calls, is going to be looking at the specific surveys and rating and the different KPIs. I seriously doubt, unless, again, that was maybe a very bad day for this guy, but I seriously doubt he's rating 5 stars on everything he does, from call management to FCR to actually customer satisfaction. So there's probably something about supervision that's also lacking there. So it's not about you, Max. You can feel better about it.
All right.
And take bus next time.
Okay. Now, I think it would have to be a ship. I don't think a bus would work well.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll look into this, and maybe next week, maybe another travel story next week. Then.
I don't be surprised.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Max. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next week then.
Sounds great. Okay. Thanks, Julien. It helped.
Bye.